The darkness was so overwhelming that the ferret stopped, unable to follow the path any further. The nocturnal cold pierced the wool sweater his grandmother had knitted for him. His frail little body became frigid, and his feet and hands went numb. Despair set in anew. He could not give up now. No, he decided he would not let his valiant effort end like this. There had to be a way to warm himself, he thought. Then he remembered the objects that his grandmother had given him. He untied the bag and withdrew the red lantern. With his last match, he cautiously lit the candle's wick. Joy! Never before had any flame given him so much comfort. Even the large fireplace in his family's thatched cottage didn't warm him as much. This magical candle truly warmed his heart and awakened his senses. The ferret held his hands over this life-saving lantern to warm himself when he noticed that they were dirty and blackened by the resin of the branches he had moved aside during his tumultuous travels. He instantly thought of his cherished grandmother, who before all meals teased any unkempt child that their future could not be read upon the lines of their hands, for they were too soiled, and with that sent them off to wash. Feeling nostalgic, the boy plunged his hands into the bag and withdrew the orange-tinted ceramic container. Carefully, he poured a few drops of a silky soap and washed his hands in a nearby stream. The aromas of orange and fennel from the luscious hand wash filled the air and were gently carried away by the wind. Who dares trespass on my land? Who brings fire into the realm of the ice? Demanded a dark voice that thundered for miles. Before the young child stood a colossal creature whose head reached the highest treetops in the forest. In her right hand, the nymph held a big book out of which radiated a supernatural brilliance. The creature cleverly noticed that the ferret was interested in the book. You know this book? Do not have any illusions. No mortal will ever possess it again. Do you know the fate I give to those who, like you, cross my land without my invitation? Spat the nymph. Unless you carry a gift worthy of changing my mind, she continued. The young villager's bravery was on the verge of crumbling before this infamous witch. But having faith in his grandmother's wisdom, he untied the bag and withdrew the only objects left, the shovel and bucket. He stuck the shovel into the pail and said, "Here are my gifts, powerful nymph." With that, he lifted a full shovel of salt above his head as near to the nymph as he could get without trembling. May this magic free your heart and your senses from the cold, and may your long-forgotten happiness be reborn. With these words, the ferret closed his eyes and tossed the contents of the bucket on the colossal nymph. Outraged, the nymph cried out, but soon the cry turned into a weak moan, and then disappeared altogether. Then these melodious words broke the silence. Open your eyes, child. Your quest is over. The boy hesitated for an instant, then opened his eyes wide to take in what was before him. Incredibly, the salt had melted the ice creature and had transformed her into a lovely nymph. Now kind and loving, the nymph smiled and said, "Here, my brave young boy, I give you this treasure. As for me, I shall go find my true love, the lumberjack, to share the love which has been asleep for so long." All he had wished for, all he had struggled for, came to this moment. The nymph held a big book in front of the boy, the Great Book of Small Joys. The boy accepted the book and began to open it excitedly. A blinding light then flows. Instinctively, he closed his eyes, but the images, as if by magic, began to form in his mind, and he saw the beauty of what he just released. Flake by flake, the snow would soon be replaced by lush greenery. The heat of the hearth will once again warm people's cottages for the first time in a very long time. The lumberjack will feel the soft summer breeze announcing the end of a very long winter and the return of a great love. The spell will be broken and people will finally resume with the pleasures of life. How the days are lovely, each one more surprising than the next. So many colors, so much passion. How the days are heavenly in the land of small joys.